How you doing? Yes, bloody cold again. Right then, let's get this coolant system sorted out and the carburetors back on. Okay then, as some of you might remember from the last video, we need a seal for this. It's the thermostat top hat, or you know, yes, the thermostat goes in there, that goes on the top. But that was the gasket, or the O-ring, which looks a bit too manky. Could have probably put some sealant round it and got away with it, but for peace of mind I thought I'd buy a new one, because I do not want to be taking those carburetors off ever again. So yes, I'm sure you remember that I ordered the seal, got this one, which was way too small. I was waiting for another one, I had to end the video, and then the other one came way too big. Oh my god. So yes, you've guessed it, we're waiting for another one. Okay then, moving on to the next day. Postman has been. Then this is my first and final attempt. Does it fit? Oh yes, perfectly splendid. Third time lucky, Johnny. So let's get this back together. Okay, so first we put the thermostat back in. If you watched last week's video, you'll know that I did check these. You'll also know that I can't get that actually back in there. You're joking, right? I think the trick with this is going to be put it in upside down, then turn it over, inside the frame, and voila! Thank God for that. We'll put a bit of silicone grease on this, just to help it go onto the hose a bit easier. Try and squeeze it onto the hose now. If possible. No, it's not possible, Johnny. Okay, push our seal in and hope it doesn't fall out. I've got to try and get that over the thermostat, Johnny. There we go. This is proving difficult. Bit of a Krypton factor. I don't want to drop this down again because I don't want the seals to be pinched again. Okay, so I've worked out we can get it on there with a bit of jiggery pokery. Just be careful with this seal. There we go. Get the bolts in quick, Johnny. Where the fuck are the bolts? Hope that seal's alright under there. Pinch that down all the way. Try and trap the seal into place. That's those easy two done. Now we've got the old one. Pinch it up. Okay, so now we've got the old one, which is down there, and I won't prat about with that for 40 minutes on camera, so I'll be back in a bit when it's done. Okay, we're back, so that's all buttoned up. Hopefully the gasket's not trapped anywhere. You can imagine all the swearing and the bad words I've been saying trying to get that on. But anyway, now we've got to take this coil off, pull the pipe out because I can't get it back onto this one here. So what I'm going to do now is put silicone grease on both ends, try and get that one on, and try and get that one onto there. Okay then, so I think we've got all the water pipe back on. Tighten it up this end, tighten it up that end. So now let's get this plastic thing out of the way. It just lifts off. Then we can fill it up with coolant. I can't remember if I mentioned that I did get a new pipe that goes all the way down to the overflow at the bottom in the header tank. Okay, let's get the funnel in and hopefully, please, no more leaks. Right, careful. We're up to the neck. Right, got the coolant up to the neck. I'm going to leave that until tomorrow and see if I can find any drips in the morning. So, see you later. Okay then, this is the next day. Moment of truth. Yeah, well, it's gone down a bit. It was up to the neck there. It's gone up to the other neck. See if we can see any visual traces. On the floor. Nothing. No visual traces on the engine. No visual traces on the radiator. Better fill the expansion tank up and all, hadn't I? Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's get the I've topped that coolant tank up. First we'll get these coils back on. Well, that was easy enough. Now let's see how long it's going to take to get the carburetors on there. Hopefully you can see that. I can't quite see it on the screen. It says 10:31. Let's see. Let's see what it says when we come back to it and the carburetors are on. Okay then, that's the carburetors in the front boots. Just got to tighten all the clamps up and somehow get those back boots on. Right then, before I tightened all the carburetor clamps up, I thought I'd be clever and put the coolant pipes back onto the carburetors. That's one coolant pipe. Had a bit of an accident. And that's the other coolant pipe going to the carburetors. We had an even bigger accident because now we've got this fairing infill thing on. This pipe, well, not this pipe, this pipe, which I've just taken off, wasn't long enough. So let's try and get some more grips on the little pipe behind there to trap it off, so I can connect the spare pipe to there. So now I should be able to take my bowl grips off. And hopefully that'll fit around there nicely. Just got to put that clip on. So like I said half an hour ago, let me get these clamps on and I'll be back in a bit. Okay then, so that's all the carburetors on. All the coolant leaked out. Well, not all of it. And I didn't have to put the cables on because they were already on. That would have taken even longer. So let's go round and look at the clock. Hopefully you can see that. It says 11:25. So just over an hour. Right, let me try and sort these out and I'll be back in a bit. Okay then, so it's all back together. I've had it running for about half an hour. The good news is it was charging at 14 volts. Bad news is we're still leaking from somewhere. Terrific. And if I start it up, it's coming from up there somewhere. Let me start it up. So yes, it's looking like it's the seal on this side now. So what does that mean, Johnny? That means we've got to take these things off again. I've worked it out. Don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this, but I've got Tony's old mirror from his Tiger, and if we look underneath, we can get the light in there. What we're looking at is this pipe here, that tube goes down there and obviously goes into the block. But we're looking at it from underneath. Right then, we've got a better view. And as you can probably see, the seal has been pinched and it's bulging out. Terrific. How you all doing? Right, and this is the next day, and I didn't show you the bike running, but it wasn't running as good last time as it was the first time we started it. It was like flat spotting when I tried to rev it. I've got the carburetors off again to get that seal fixed down there. Then I was lying in bed trying to go to sleep, as you do, and started thinking about the old bike. I then started thinking about the choke that I replaced, and then thinking, did I actually fix the bike or did I make it worse? Because I remember when I pulled the spring off the old choke, it was about that long. So someone's obviously stretched it for some reason, and I've never known one of those. I've got a spare one. You'll have a spare choke somewhere. And I remember when we took the spring off the broken choke, it was stretched out like that, as though someone had stretched it out to make the choke push back in properly. And that tang was broken off. No, Don. No, this is the one with the tang broken off. And I thought, I wonder if somebody broke that tang off deliberately to stop this choke working. So anyway, I took all the carburetors, took all the spark plugs out. And all the spark plugs were fine. 1, 2, 3. But number 4 was black and sooty. And that is the one where we've repaired the choke. So that's going to give me some more investigating to do. It's pretty disappointing really, to be honest with you. I was hoping to get that gasket on there, start it up, see that all the leaks have gone, and then loosely put the petrol tank back on, reconnect it to the carburetors, put the seat on, roll it outside, have a good look round it, and then I could start it up and ride it back into the shed. But also before I get it back in the shed, I would like to do a good tidy up of everything. And then we could put all the fairings back on. Then I could book the MOT. But no, we're not finished yet, Johnny. Anyway, like I said, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so we've just pulled it out. And as you can see, there's a tiny bit of O-ring left in there. But thankfully, no leaks under there. So where's the rest of that seal gone? Oh, I can see it down there. Yes, I can see it. Oh, I can't get it. It's just there. And there goes your light. Yes, looks like it was pinched. Definitely pinched. Oh, you'll have to be more careful, Johnny. It's rushing to try and get this done, that's what it is. Well, that's my excuse anyway. Anyway, I'll see you later when all this is back together and we're restarting it and checking for leaks again. Just for the record, it's back on, and there is definitely no leaks pinched there. And if we look at the other side, there is definitely no seals pinched there. Of course, these leaks are getting me paranoid now, because I had this bike standing overnight, no leaks, which you would have thought, with that seal sticking out like that, there would have been some dripping. I didn't see nothing. Then I started it up, let the fan come on, checked round for leaks, nothing. Switched it off, went indoors, got a cup of coffee, came back out, looked down there, and there was all that dribbling all over the floor, and you think, oh my god. So yes, I am definitely paranoid. When this, could it possibly be getting to temperature and the seals are bulging out? I don't know, I'm not a mechanic. But anyway, let me carry on and I'll be back later. Okay then, we're back. Got everything back together, got the carburetors on, got the coolant filled up. I have had a mess about with this choke. It seems to be working okay, but it did seem to push back in a bit when I pushed it with my thumb. Still does a little touch, but it still springs back out, and I did find the cable adjuster, and that's adjusted up as loose as it can be. So I've taken this little bracket off the carburetor and grinded it down a bit, so to try and slacken it off on this cable. This cable still feels quite tight though. It still feels a bit tight, like I say, but anyway, let me get the petrol tank set up, and then I'll bring you back when we're pressing the button. Right then, I've just had it running for about 10 seconds. Wasn't revving quite right, so I dabbed each of the, cooled down a bit now, but the number 2 I couldn't touch at all, but the other 3 were quite hot, so that means number 2 cylinder is not firing. Oh god. So far no leak whatsoever, Trevor, which is fantastic, but I've only had it running for a few seconds. Anyway, so I'm going to have to get number 2 spark plug out and check see if it's sparking. Now, I've got a spare coil that I can replace it with. It just says ST on there, but that one's got more writing on, so I don't know if it's the right one. But the other guys obviously bought these for some reason. So there is 2 spare ones. Anyway, let me get the spark plug out and I'll be back in a bit. Okay then, so we've had the spark plug out, that was sparking fine, so we put all that back in. I'll put the fuel tank on to make sure that we're all getting fuel to all the carburetors, and that number 2 exhaust is still cool, whereas the others are red hot. I've done the flow type check on all the carburetors with the bit of pipe. Hold that to there. You can see that we're just below the gasket, which I would imagine is just about right. Okay, so I've done the fuel level check on the other side of the bike. They seem to be perfectly fine, but I thought I'd just show you, because some of you people don't know how you can check your float height. Is stick a pipe on the drain thing underneath and hold it at the side of the carburetor. This wants to be just under, I would say. So let's see what we've got in this one. Like I say, the other 2 on the other side were perfectly perfect. You should see the fuel coming through. Right, so we hold it up against the carburetor. I would say that is too high. That is like flooding, I would say. If that gasket won't do, it'd be leaking out the sides for sure. And that is the same spark plug but was black, sooty. Yes, that definitely looks too high. It's even gone higher now. Yep, that's too high, Johnny. Looks like the carburetor's got to come off again. I've got the bike level. If you could see the bubble. Bike is perfectly level. Like I say, on the other side they were just about there where my fingernail is. But that one's about, that ridge is on that carburetor. That's no good. Yeah, if you get down to the level, it's too high. And I can't even get on the on the middle one, which isn't firing like it should be. So Johnny, you got to take the carburetors off again. Yeah, when we had this leak here on the base gasket, I was thinking no way you can get a leak there. I even got comments saying you can't get a leak on the base gasket. And you know, as you do, lying in bed thinking, this is the scrap cylinder. This is the scrap cylinder block. This is the cam chain tensioner. There's the cam chain tensioner. If you're wondering why I've got that pipe stuck in there, it's because oil's pouring out when I start it up. I've got the spring stuck in the spot in the pipe, so that's pushed into there, and I do hold the pipe up in the air like that, so the oil doesn't leak everywhere. Anyway, so that will be the head gasket, that will be the base gasket. Like we're thinking there's no way water can leak into there, but if you take these pots out, that is where the water coolant lies, in between the cylinders, and at the bottom it's got two rubber seals, so if they fail, that's either going to go into your oil or out the side of the engine. Well, that's what I'm surmising. I'm no mechanic. If you do get all these O-ring gaskets with the cylinder head gasket set, but I've never actually put them on, and I've never actually had a problem. But then again, I've only built 10 engines at the most, so I don't know, maybe you can get a leak down there, but luckily I didn't have one. I don't know, all I want to do is get the bodywork on and take it for an MOT, but it's pretty pointless unless the bike's running properly. Yes, well, touch wood, there's no coolant leaks at the moment, but I'm really not looking forward to taking the carburetors off again. But I am becoming an expert on taking GTR carburetors off and putting them back on, and I have done this before with my carburetors on my very first GTR1000 RX, which was a long time ago. It's just basically the same setup as this, and if you're not careful you can end up with engine hydrolock, and we don't want that. And I had about 4 or 5 temps on the carburetors, but they were a bit easier than this to fit and remove, but the bike wasn't running properly, and I had to get the float height. I did it 3 or 4 times, and then eventually I got it spot on and the bike was running perfectly. I can't remember what exhaust can it had on it, but it sounded absolutely awesome. Anyway, that's as far as we can go this week. I was hoping to be turning this into a MOT video, but that never happens because it's, I don't know, sod's law, I guess. We're cursed with leaks, first on the carburetors, now we're cursed with leaks on the cooling system, and normally I'd be getting quite uptight, but for some reason I just feel deep down that I know I've got a good bike. It's just getting rid of all the teething parts. Hang on a minute. Right, I'm back. Where was I? Oh, I can't remember where I was. My mind's going. Right, anyway, next week, hopefully, we're definitely taking this for an MOT. If not, I won't be here next week. It'll be the week after, because I'm not going back until I'm ready to be taking this for an MOT. So wish me luck. So, as usual, keep on undoing those stuck knots. But I'll see you on the next one.
I'll see you in another life, brother.